Welcome to the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Interviews, a series we created to give you even more exposure to startups from the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Network. Today, Peter Rossi of Bulugo is with us. Bulugo is an online bunker fuel and lubricant procurement platform that digitalizes the traditional marine sourcing process. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. I really love to have startups with us every now and then. It's becoming more and more often. Startups from the growing network of startups in the ecosystem. Now we have almost 300 startups, and I think Bulugo joined relatively recently. Because I think I'm giving out already some information, but it is a relatively young company. Yeah. But definitely, Peter, tell us something about Bulugo, what it does, aside of what I said, that I was just reading, of course, and and something about yourself, how the startup came up.
Yeah, sure. So, thanks. So my name is Peter Rossi. I'm strategy director for Bulugo. I'm also an investor in Bulugo. My background by trade is technology. So I spent 20 years in technology, designing, building, scaling platforms for people. I actually started my career in Formula One with McLaren and went on to design a number of large e-commerce platforms and cloud platforms, which I've done over the years, but in the last 10 years got much more involved in the venture capital space, so startups and investment, and helping businesses to sort of raise investment, but also scale their technology and scale their businesses into the market. And what happened was I got in contact with the team that were looking at Bulugo at the time. So basically, I was introduced to this world of maritime that I'd never never thought I would end up in. And what basically happened was in a conversation, there was explaining how the fuel and lubricant procurement process currently works in the maritime space globally. So it still very much works like the car insurance industry used to work in like the 1990s or earlier. So before the likes of Confused.com and Money Supermarket and Uswitch and all of those. You used to phone up your broker. Your broker would have contacts. They would phone them up. You'd hand over all your information to the broker. They would phone up all of their contacts. They would get you some prices, come back to you, give you a price, add their commission, and that's how it would work.
Yeah.
Then that entire market has completely changed over the last 20 years. And the bunkering market is still very traditional.
At that stage,
and they're still using a lot of digital tools. So they're still using email and instant messaging and SMS and things like that. But there's no sort of unified solution for it, and there's definitely no easy way for marine operators, so fleet operators and vessel owners, to be able to go and sort of assess the market on a wider scale to go and sort of find fuels and lubricants, unless they work with somebody that can do that for them. So what we did was we designed a platform that allowed us to effectively create a marketplace, which became a procurement platform, so that both suppliers and buyers could come and sign up for the system. Doesn't matter whether or not you are own a single vessel, up to hundreds of vessels in the fleet. There's different company structures that we can build inside of the system. And it also allowed suppliers of all sizes, from individual operators in local ports up to global suppliers and oil majors, to come on board and manage that. And we also wanted to bring together fuels and lubricants, because there's a couple of other platforms out there at the moment that just do one or the other, but they don't do both. And actually, the fuels and lubricants are both required by the vessels, and they're quite often having to source them. So why source them from two different places?
Right. Well, super interesting. So it's I like how your like career went through, like, having experienced this change that is happening now in maritime, having experienced it like many years earlier in other industries. And actually, this is very, very interesting because it helps you sort of foresee what is next, what is going to happen, because you saw it happen already in other industries. And it makes you like not a novice of whatever, because quite often startups are novice at something because actually everything is new. But yes, same for you in this case, in this industry, but the system is something that has been around for years in other industries. So this is great, and very interesting. The idea of putting together two different products that sort of are related to each other, and so you started relatively recently. When was that? When did you start?
So the company, it was about 2 years ago, and then we got an initial investment round, a seed investment round from Jensen Funding Partners in London back in April 2019, and then we started to build our team and our product around that. We were originally planning on going to market with the offering in March 2020, but as you know, a few other things happened.
Something happened, yeah.
Something happened. I can't remember what it was.
What was that?
Anyway, yeah. And we decided as a startup that it wasn't a wise idea to blow our entire PR budget when it wouldn't have broken through the noise of coronavirus.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do was work with a number of friendly suppliers and buyers that we were already speaking to, and develop the platform further in conjunction with them. So understanding a little bit more about, sort of what are their pain points and what are the processes that they go through to actually procure or trade fuels. So the platform underwent quite a lot of development actually during that process, and we made it a lot better for the end clients. Then we officially launched it in September. We received some really good press, and we've been involved in a number of different things. We've been covered in pretty much all the major maritime publications, and been involved in a number of panels and things. And since then, we've just been going and sort of bringing suppliers and buyers on board to the platform, which is going really well. It's really well received.
I think great timing in this horrible situation that we had, but it was great timing of stopping at the right time and spending this like sort of pause moment or pause period that is sort of extending further. Use it to develop the business sort of behind the scenes rather than going to public PR and so on. That wouldn't have been wise probably at that time. And the fact that you have already a network of clients, both in from the supplier side and the demand side, and this is great because really without clients you don't have a business. And even if you manage to have the clients even before you start operating the business, that's absolutely great. And learning from them, it's even better. It's something that all startups should do. All startups should work with clients so that they learn from them, so that they can fine-tune the product, the service, in order to satisfy not only that specific client, but all the category. So fantastic. Well done. And now good press. So it might be that you're getting close to really starting the full-scale operations. And I guess that at some point you'll also be in the process of growing and requiring more funding. So you told us already something about your funding in the past. So do you have any ideas of the future steps, something that could be interesting for investors or maritime companies that are listening and that could be interested to talk to you?
Yeah. So there's a raft of different opportunities out there at the moment. No pun intended. With regards to the platform itself, we always designed it with an eye on a couple of additional markets. So there are markets beyond maritime that we can utilize this in, that we are very well connected in, that we are actively pursuing at the moment. The other interesting area is around credit facilities in maritime. So, as you know, the majority of bunker fuels and lubricants are procured on some form of revolving credit facility. And this is where a lot of the traditional providers are, I suppose, sort of well placed to do that because they can lend off of their own balance sheet, whereas a startup struggles potentially to do that.
Exactly.
They don't necessarily have the money in the bank in order to do it. So we've partnered with a couple of financial entities that can do that. There's a UK-based company that we're working with closely that can provide up to 20 million pounds per buyer of credit, dependent on obviously on where they are and what they do and subject to credit checks and things like that. But it's a really interesting market that's worth potentially there's about $100 billion per year in revolving credit moving around in the marine sector.
Wow.
And it's really interesting from a from a debt provider perspective. So that's something that we're looking at there. And as a business, and my experience of building systems like this is that you want to be a platform to enable an ecosystem. You're not just the be all and end all. We're not out there saying we are Bulugo, we are the front end of all of it. This you will trade with us and we will sell everything. We know that there's a number of providers out there that do things like route optimization, quality checking, all sorts of other things that sort of ship maintenance and things that companies need. And our system is designed as a platform, so we can integrate really easily with partners to offer their services on to clients that integrate with us.
Yeah. So. Wow, that's that. I mean, it's great because there are so many pieces that you are assembling together in a way that is, well, is interesting because the value proposition for your customers can be much different, can be much more powerful, particularly with the credit lines for the buyers, and the idea to create a marketplace. So I understand not only for what you are doing at the moment, but also for other services that can be of interest for maritime companies. So, well, I think that's great. It's all bright. Now it's just a matter of working hard to make it happen and enhancing and increasing the number of clients, increasing the number of suppliers and of opportunities. But definitely with the offering that you have, I'm sure that we're going to hear about you often.
The joys of being a startup. Yeah.
So yeah. As a startup, you've been a startupper already in the past. I understand. So you're very used to it, and I think that on one side is the drama of being a startup that is really, really difficult, but on the other side is the big success that you really feel that you're achieving something when you move steps forward. So congratulations, really. And well, yes, thank you for being with us today. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that also the listeners will enjoy it and will find something interesting and someone interesting to get in touch with. So Peter Rossi of Bulugo. Thank you very much, Peter.
Thanks very much, Leonardo. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.